Well, I want to see
Okay, hold on a second. All right, I've got a lot of requests here. I like doing them in sequence as opposed to jumping back and forth, back and forth. So 29.
Yeah, just so we can see like the cool things.
Okay. So what is true about number 29? Anybody? What is true about 29? The directions for 29 are what? By completing the squared x and y, write an equation for each ellipse in standard form. All right, so they're giving you that much information. Very nice. I won't do that all the time. My expectation is that you know to write it in standard form, I need to have an x squared and a y squared, right? Okay, so in this problem, what are you going to do? Anybody?
Factor out the 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I know that I'm going to rearrange this, and I am going to factor out the 2 of which two parts? 2x squared plus 4x. So I know that I have a common factor of 2, so I have 2 times x squared plus 2x.
Why 1?
Okay, because now I'm ready to complete the square. And to complete the square, I look at my middle term, which is what? 2x. What's half of 2x?
1.
1. So that's where that 1 comes in. But I need to remember to multiply the other side. You can't see that. There. I need to remember if I've pulled out a 2, then I'm putting a 2 on the other side. And so I know it's going to be 2 times that quantity. And when I rewrite this, can I write this, is this a perfect square trinomial now?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have 2 times x squared plus 1 squared plus y squared, equals 10. And I'm going to try and get rid of my 2y. Why do I want to get rid of this leading term?
Why can't you just divide by all of it by 10 and then take away that 10?
Yeah, that's, well, you just take away
I could have, okay, and you could have. There's a couple, that's what sometimes makes them a little challenging, is because there isn't a real script on how to do it. And you're right, you could have divided everything by 10. And if you had divided that by 10, what would it have looked like? I would have divided this by 10, I would have divided this by 10, and I would have divided this by 10, and I would have ended up with what, 1/5?
Yeah.
And that would have been y squared equals
Yeah.
1. I could have done that. Okay? Any other questions on 29 then? All
No.
right, Michael?
Well, I have a question on 30.
Yeah, same.
30.
When you're adding the numbers to the other side, do you have to square them first and then multiply them?
Yes, because what you're doing is you're adding, remember, let's just look at number 30.
So it's like x plus 3 squared.
Okay,
so
so
you
here
square
was, I knew I was going to break this up into 2 parts. Where's your eraser? Right? So I have to complete the square of my x terms. And I'm going to, so I'm breaking this in half, and when I break this in half, let's see if I can cover that for you. Just dealing with, I'm going to complete this. So first I pulled out the 4. I could see that there was a common factor of 4. So I have 4 times x squared plus 4 times 6x. Okay, complete the square. And I know that I'm going to multiply this side by 4. I'm going to put 4 over here. And I'm taking this in half, and it's going to be, what, 3. But what I'm really adding is 3 squared.
Okay.
So that's what is going to be added on the other side. And
So they're adding 9 times 4.
right. Okay. And then I did the same thing with my 3s. I knew that I had this part, and then I pulled out a common factor of 3. So 3 times y squared and 3 times 4y. And in this case, I knew I was going to multiply this side by 3. So I just write it down, and I'm going to divide 4 by 2, which is 2. 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to be adding a 4 right there. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Is everybody okay with completing this square?
And so what do you think?
Pardon me? So then when I completed that, I know that this factors out to be x plus 3 squared, and this is y minus 2 squared, and I multiply it all out, and I have 4 times x plus 3 squared plus 3 times y minus 2 squared equals 126. And what am I going to, I want, my equation needs to be what? Equal to 1. So I'm going to divide by 126. And in this case, when I divided it by 126, it didn't come out so neatly. This came out to be what? 1 over 42, and this was 1 over 31.5. So I ended up with a decimal over here. So my final answer would have been that. Okay? All right, so that was, what number? That was 30. Okay, moving on to 31. Who was that? Haley, was that you?
31B.
31B. Okay. Let's see, 31B. Ah, okay. 31B. All right. Let's see what you have for an equation. All right. So did everybody draw the bridge, and you know that the 31A, they gave you that the ellipse is under the bridge, and you know, and I guess this is my bridge right here. So I have an ellipse like this. So the origin is at the midpoint, and it's 140. So I know that I have a 70 and a 70, and everybody get y squared over 490, 4,900, sorry, plus y plus 30 squared over 900 equals 1. Everybody okay with that for the equation? Okay, now, they're telling you in the second part, write an equation of the ellipse if the origin is at one end of the bridge. So this has to get what? Shifted, right? So here I have, here's one, and here I have the origin is in the center of the bridge. So I mean, it didn't say, you know, there's a little bit of room for error here, because I could have shifted it at one end where the end of the bridge is at the origin, right? Or I could have done it in the other direction. And when I drew it, I just shifted it over. So now, think about where is an HK form. It would be minus 70, because I moved it over 70 units, right? Okay, and then it was, and it's up 30 units, so y plus 30 squared. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, sometimes the wording of that is a, you know, it's like, what do they mean? Is that where you had problems, Haley? Just understanding what they were asking?
I had no idea what they were asking.
Pardon me?
I had no idea what they were
Yeah, that, the wording, I understand that the wording of that can be challenging. Okay? All right, so that takes care of 31B. You want to go over to 40, do we have any questions on 42 through 45? Anybody? We good with those? How about 47? 47? Let's do 47, 48, 49 right now. 47.
We only had to do it through 47.
I know, but you guys are, you're nervous about these.
Very good.
Let's look at 47.